Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your First Amendment champion, Jerry Cooey.
I'm Deborah Nelson. Thanks for joining us.
We're glad that you have decided to take a few moments to let us talk about things.
Kill a half hour.
Well, I don't think it's actually
They're
killing
not getting
it.
that half hour.
Look, I want them to be on the edge of their chair the whole time, wondering what might happen next.
Yeah.
Folks, I got to back up just a little bit, and we've talked about this on here before with the appointment of Charles Kahn. And by the way, when you finish watching the program, get on your computer, Google Charles Kahn, and once again, I'll let you be the judge if a man of this character should be even a judge anymore. Right. He jumped from the state DCA to a federal magistrate, and I've taken an interest in how folks are picked as judges. And one of the things that jumped out recently was the picking of Charles Kahn. Now, folks, I'm going to tell you. The information that showed up in the Pensacola News Journal as to whom was in the room when Charles Kahn was picked as the best candidate out of 64 human beings that were up for that job. The Pensacola News Journal reported, and it came from the story actually came from a reporter that I met and have admired for many years. The story came out that Sue Strawn of WEAR TV3 was on the selection committee, and hey, that's at first I said, well, maybe that's good, maybe that's bad, but then I think a little bit more, and I think most people turn into Channel 3, they turn in to watch the news,
right,
given by reporters.
Sometimes they're disappointed.
But the more I looked at this situation, I became completely infuriated that Charles Kahn made it through the process out of 64 candidates to start out with. So I sent an email to Sue Strawn, and I said, look, I admire the community work that you do and all this kind of stuff, but I'm very disappointed that Charles Kahn comes out as the top candidate in that. And she came back and she said something that I agreed with. I had never asked her if she had voted for Charles Kahn or not, and that was fair. So I sent her another email. I said, Ms. Strawn, you're right. I didn't ask you which side you came down on that matter, because there was more than one person in the room. So I said, let me remedy that situation. I'd like to see your notes and how you voted on all 64 candidates. And I didn't get any more emails. That was it.
Which we can assume was an official government process,
No,
since it placed a judge in office.
Right. Well, no more emails from Ms. Strawn. So I found out who the station manager was, Mr. Terry Cole. I sent Mr. Cole an email. I included the entire exchange, everything that was in my original emails, what Sue Strawn, and what I said to him in the beginning was, this is Channel 3 is a new station. What also concerned me is when all of this stuff was going on with Charles Kahn, which was just a few months ago, maybe a year or so ago, none of that was ever reported on Channel 3 News. And folks, it's ugly. There's some of it I'm not going to talk about on air because this is a family-oriented show, but not that it's illegal, but he did commit adultery against his wife. Now, that's not illegal, but it does show poor taste.
With a subordinate.
The portion of the program that included a subordinate of the court, an employee of the court, is very serious as far as I'm concerned. In general, he was removed as the Chief Justice. I mean, there's a lot of problems with this guy. Yet he makes it through the process. So I laid all that out to Mr. Cole. I said, you know, how is it that we, the viewers, never saw any of this on your TV show? But most importantly, my belief is that reporters and journalists and news folks, they don't need to be generating the news. They should be reporting on the news. And I just,
they don't need to be performing government functions. I don't think either.
My personal opinion is that Sue Strawn, lead person, Channel 3 News, been there forever, journalist, news reporter, shouldn't be participating in this stuff for this very reason with this occurrence. So then, you know, and I said, I'd like to see the votes, the notes and the votes that occurred at that meeting. Well, he sends me back an email that says, well, Mr. Cooey, I thought I had cleared that up. Yes, the Pensacola News Journal said that Sue Strawn was part of that. And I sent him an email back. I said, no, you've still not answered my question. I'll make it as simple for you as I can. It's either yes or no.
Right.
Yes, you will give me how your employee, the lead news person at Channel 3, voted. And I would be happy about that. Or if the answer is no, I will go find the answer in another place. And so I'm waiting on a response from that. But folks, look, this is important. They're picking a judge. If it hadn't have been for one newspaper writer who got some inside information, I don't know how this person got it, but we don't even know who's picking our judges. You know, we're placing folks in positions of responsibility that are overseeing what happens to your life.
Yeah.
And we don't even know who's picking them. You know, that thought alone is very troubling to me.
It's very disturbing. I mean, at least at the federal level, you know, the president picks a Supreme Court.
Right.
And you have someone who's accountable for picking those judges.
So, as we stand now, I've asked Channel 3 to, you know, say yes or no. I think it's only fair. I think the viewers of Channel 3, I think the citizens in general, need to know how the quote-unquote most trusted news person at Channel 3 voted in this matter. I don't know how she voted. I'd like for Sue Strawn to tell us all how she voted. I think it might clear up a lot of things. I would, if she says it, and she has some proof that she voted against him, I'd say, okay, I'm sorry I bothered you. I'll move on to the other members of it. But my point is, I'm gonna shed some sunlight on all of this stuff, folks. Another group of people is at the state level, and they're a judicial review committee. They look at all the folks that might be bumped to a federal level. So I said, well, here's a good start. I found their webpage. They have a nice webpage, paid for you by the taxpayers. They have a lot of employees, paid for you by the taxpayers. So I sent an email, and I said, I'd like, I have a list of names. I know all the members. I know the chairman and the vice chair, all the members in the general council, and they have the whole list there. So I made a request to have a contact email for all of them. Well, the response that I got back, folks, was, well, Mr. Cooey, you can't contact individual members of the Judicial Qualifications Committee. That would interfere with them doing their job. And that's what the Constitution says. Okay, well, folks, you know me. I guess I probably should have been born in another state. You got to show me. I sent him an email back and I said, well, you know, the Constitution is a very large document. I'm hereby requesting that you point out the specific statutes that prove that I can't contact individual members or members of that committee. I think he's full of it. I don't believe he's right.
That's another interpretation.
I believe that as a citizen, those folks are citizens and lawyers. They're working for me.
Right.
If I want to send them an email and ask them, why did you pick this person, I think they ought to have to answer me.
Yeah. Well, see, they're accustomed to not having to answer why they decided a certain way on a case. Right. This has nothing to do with that. This is about the process of the judicial selections themselves. So
basically, you know, where we stand right now at a county to a federal job, you know, I'm doing my best to hone in on the folks that were sitting in the double secret room, in the double secret handshake, behind closed doors. Folks, you should be as mad about this as I am. They are picking people that, should you get in trouble for something, you're going to have to go before those judges.
Well, not only get in trouble, but I mean, civil cases too.
Right.
You know, this company is, you know, screwing you out of X or dumping this in your backyard, right. And
we should have knowledge as citizens, especially considering we pay for all of this. We pay the salaries, and we pay the benefits, and we pay for the robes, and we pay for the buildings, and we pay for the courthouses, the marble and the African mahogany. We should have a right to be able to question. We should know as citizens who is sitting on these committees picking judges across the state.
Yeah.
And we as citizens should have the right to say, hey, we're watching you, and we're paying attention to who you're picking. And this person right here, here's the proof that this person should move on to the next level.
Well, and here's the biggest problem, is I think most people would agree one of Florida's major problems is corruption in government. And so now you have corrupt government officials deciding which judges rule on government corruption.
Exactly.
I mean, you've got a terrible circle going on there.
And look, folks, at the state level for the judicial group there's only 5 of them that don't have to be lawyers. The rest of them, it's a requirement that they have to be lawyers.
That's another constitutional amendment issue for us.
You
Starting
know,
with the state's attorney.
Here's the thing, folks. Just like, and look, I'm going to say it again. Charles Kahn, a simple Google by anyone on this planet that we live on. If you will read about an hour's worth of stuff that pops up on Google for Charles Kahn, you would wonder why the man still had a job. Okay? And now he gets put to a federal position. All right, and that's the kind of stuff, you know, will Sue Strawn ever answer me? I doubt it very seriously. What I will say is she might not be on the committee anymore, because I'm going to put enough light on this situation that the corporate master is going to say we're not going to get caught up in that anymore.
Yeah, I would surprise it didn't already happen. I mean, can't imagine that's not written into their bylaws.
You know, it should be. Look, I don't have a problem with some of the members being lawyers so that they understand the law and understand decisions that a candidate has made in his career. But I think for the most part, it's not lawyers that have to stand before a judge when they get in trouble, civilly or criminally. It's the citizens that have to stand before them, and we are to have a say in all of that. And so, you know, this is just another little quest that I'm going on. I don't know where it's going to take me, but I can tell you this. And Deborah and I was talking about it earlier. If I don't get an answer pretty quick back from the guy at the state level, the next thing I'm going to ask for, I'm going to request a salary and a benefits list, and he is going to give me that. And the overhead of the building that he sits in, and how much he spends on office supplies, and what his travel budget was last year. I will guarantee you he will give me that. Plain and simple.
Oh, we need that anyway. That's another story.
But, you know, and while I'm on my little rant here, I want to throw a little commercial out for the First Amendment Foundation. Folks, www.faf.org. We're building the brigade members, and those numbers are growing daily. And I got a call from Citrus, Florida this week, and he asked me for some advice, and he told me where he was at, And I said, well, look, the only thing you're lacking is you haven't involved the Attorney General's office. And our friend Pat Gleason is now working with Pam Bondi at the Attorney General's office. And he called me back and he said, you won't believe this. I said, what's that? He said, well, Pat Gleason's already sent them an email yesterday at 4:30 that said they have until May the 1st to comply or mediation will begin. And I got my first email the very next day at 10 a.m. trying to extricate themselves from not giving me the records that I wanted. And so, you know, folks, it's building. And if you're watching this show, you know we don't just whine about stuff. We get out there and do something about it. We've got to take this government back. It is so far out of control right now. For example, we got the worst economy that we've seen in the last 25 years.
We're in a depression, yeah.
In the last 25 years. And daily I read everything that comes...
Last 75 years.
Daily I read everything that comes out of Tallahassee, Florida. You know, I'm trying to read everything. I see absolutely nothing about helping the economic outlook. I don't see in any companies. There may have been one with a few jobs that was coming in, but we've done nothing. We spend all of our time on stuff that I could care less about.
Economic development agencies make a lot of money. Their employees make quite a lot of money.
They ignore us on my right of free speech at government buildings, and they haven't, as far as I'm concerned. They might have spent 1% of their total time in any kind of discussion on what do we need to do to get the economy going. The rest of it has just been pure junk as far as I'm concerned. Just stuff that's not important. It's just really not important. And like I said at the last show, this show we got a few hodgepodge things to get here. I want to alert every last one of you, if you know a business owner, if you know someone who owns property along Highway 90 from Blackwater all the way out to Pace, Florida, and I want you to listen very carefully to me. It is in your best interest to get involved with potential changes that may occur on Highway 90. I've seen some stuff so far, the closure of median cut so you can't get to your favorite business, and just some things there that I don't think the majority of the folks are going to put up with. Now, on the DOT committee, Don Salter is the chairman, Bob Cole is a member. All right? So if you are a business person or if you own property from Blackwater heading west towards Pace, I strongly encourage you to send an email or to make a telephone call to Commissioner Bob Cole or to Commissioner Don Salter, and you need to find out how you're going to be affected by these potential changes. You have time. It's probably 3 to 5 years out, but they're in the planning stages right now. If you have a vested interest along that commercial corridor that is so vital to the taxes in Santa Rosa County, I would urge you, and also the city of Milton is also playing a role in this, so you need to reach out to your city council member that whichever one you know, or if you know the mayor, Guy Thompson, I would suggest that you give him a call and you have a conversation with what is the city of Milton's position on how that corridor is going to be handled, because it may help your business or it may hurt your business. And I just, I can't say this enough. I realize everybody can't make every meeting, but if 3 of your friends all own businesses on Highway 90, one of you needs to make sure that you're at every meeting. You need to hear every word that's said, and you need to ask the questions. It's and look, we had a huge fight in 2002 over median closures. I mean, I was nose to nose with a state DOT person, And the thing that I cannot understand, folks, is the state DOT will look you in the eyes without smiling and tell you that they close medians for public safety. And I said repeatedly to everyone that was at that meeting in 2001 or 2002, I went all the way around to each one of them. I said, you explain to me how we're helping public safety when I have to go 1,500 feet, cross over 2 lanes of traffic, go into a median cut, turn around, pull out into oncoming traffic, and cross over to the outside lane to get to where I want to go. You look me in the eyes and tell me how that's safer.
Here's my guess, and this is just a guess. I could be wrong. I'm guessing if you have fewer median cuts, traffic moves a little more quickly, and then you grade the roadway a little bit higher as far as how much. So
you can build more stuff.
How much development you can do around. That's just a guess.
Right.
But it's an educated guess.
I don't agree. Let me get on my soapbox here for a minute. The state DOT works for us. They don't work for anybody else. It's our tax dollars that go 100% into the road building. It's our gas tax and other taxes that go into that. They should have at least. Here's the thing that insults me the most. Now, so far, I've talked to 2 business owners. Neither one of them were notified of a meeting by the FDOT.
Yeah,
that are going to be directly affected by changes on Highway 90.
You don't know till it's too late. Most people
exactly. That's the thing that infuriates me, is that the DOT and if the DOT or somebody up the DOT, hey, do the right thing. You can go to Santa Rosa County and in the city of Milton, you can pull the business licenses along that corridor, send them a notice, let them come see what you're doing, because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. The same thing that occurred on Dogwood and Stewart Street, where you tried to put in limited access, it wound up being the peasants with the pitchforks, and it wound up costing us 30% more because the citizens forced you into putting turn lanes in, which is the right thing to do to start out with. So I think we need to have an open, honest dialogue here. The stakeholders need to be invited.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be, hey, we're having a meeting next Wednesday at 9.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like if they rezone a parcel, typically the neighbors, that's county level, typically the neighbors will get a notice, in a certain...
even at the county level, it's laughable, because the 20,000 house subdivision, the marvelous jubilee that was going to pull us out of the depths of depression, and Don Salter and Bob Cole Gordon Gooden went to the big meeting in Pensacola, and this is going to be the greatest thing, and this is our salvation. When they sent out the public notices for that, they only had to send it out to property owners that were within 500 feet of that monstrosity. All right?
Yeah.
That's laughable.
Yeah.
Had that have actually turned into anything but where dirt is washing into Pond Creek, if it had actually turned into a subdivision, that thing would have affected people within 15 miles of it.
Right.
Not 500 feet.
You mean with ripple effect jobs?
Yeah. Governor Scott said something this week.
Actually, it would be last week.
I agree with him.
Yeah.
Last week. I agree with him 100%. He said that citizens insurance should be the insurance of last resort. Now, folks, let me tell you, there's been a lot of soapboxes the last 2 shows. Let me crawl up on my soapbox again. To start out with, we shouldn't be building anything on a barrier island to start out with, except a picnic table, a very small place to get a sandwich from, and a cold drink, and maybe a gas station. That ought to be it. All right? But when we instituted citizens insurance in the state of Florida, all of a sudden that freed it up, so people that wanted to live in very dangerous places along our coastlines and be hit with 5 hurricanes in 1 year, they were able to do that. And the main reason they were able to do it is because of poor saps like Deborah and I. We pay $200 a year out of our insurance bill so that somebody else can sit on the beach and drink a margarita and see the sunrise and sunset every day.
Although they also get federal insurance.
Yes, but Citizens Insurance allowed even more building along our coastline.
What they allowed was the middling areas, I think, where they're not going to get the federal insurance, but they're still going to get flooded out or whatever, a lot of damage. They allow those middling areas to be overdeveloped, and we have to pay for it.
Here's my humble opinion when it comes to home ownership. I'll take you all the way back to the Bible. A wise man builds his house upon a rock, and a foolish man builds his house on the sand. I don't want to hear it from folks that build a house on the sand. You want to live over there? That's fine. You need to carry your own freight. You need to pay whatever the insurance bill is. And Deborah and I, as mainlanders, should not be fronting you $200 a year so that you can live where you're at.
Well, the other thing, though, on the other side of the coin, though, insurers, they charge so much in Florida. They've allowed them to overcharge people in Florida. And, I mean, they say, oh, it's such a risk, and, you know, we take a loss if there's a hurricane. And, of course, they have cut their Florida operations off, most of them, from the rest of their operations, and they're reinsured, you know, by the big reinsurers. But this is the excuse. Oh, it's such a risk. You know, we have to charge you 3 times what we charge somebody else.
Well,
and that's part of the problem.
It's laughable. We have allowed coastal development in places that we should not have.
Well, no, I'm talking even inland though. Even inland, you get overcharged.
We should have never allowed the development that we have allowed on the coastlines in aggregate all the way around. It winds up costing us all. I mean, seriously. Why am I paying $200 a year for somebody else to enjoy life?
It's just outrageous.
And if I take my boat down there and park it by their condominium, they'll call the sheriff's deputy and have me thrown off. I don't even get $200 worth of benefit out of it. One final thing before we close the show. Mr. Herodopoulos, Mr. Cannon, I realize that by law you don't have to follow the Sunshine Law. I understand that. But you met in private, you worked on a budget deal, on and on and on. And folks, this is what I'm talking about. This is why they need to be under the Sunshine Law also, because we the people do not know what they discussed. We do not know what deal they made.